I can see 11 people in the room, including myself. There's Chinky Garg, Datta, Sonkamble, Dipanjan, Kalyan Pratyush, Laya Varghese, Mrinalini Chaudhary, Radhika, and Yogesh, and one person whose name I can't see. Please go into settings. We have a couple of minutes before we are ready to start, and now we are more than halfway through the program. So I hope it's going well for all of you. Have you all had a chance to start the assignment? Any problems so far with the assignment? We have a minute, so I can take questions if you want to, and I can take the rest after the webinar is over as usual. No, Laya, MailChimp is a website. They also have an app that you can install to your phone if you want, but it's www.mailchimp.com. Today is the demo anyway, so you'll see how it works. Yes. No, don't do that right now because you'll miss out on what I'm saying, but definitely do it after the session is over. I asked you to set up an account on MailChimp so that everything that you're seeing today would not come as a first time, but that's fine. I'm going to take you through a demo. It's 8 o'clock. Are we ready to start? I know Laya's here and listening. How about the others? Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. All right. So, once again, welcome to session 5 of email marketing. Today, we are doing a demonstration of MailChimp. We've already covered an entire week on ensuring deliverability, so you already know how to make sure your email reaches the intended recipients without any problems in between. Last week, we spent what I hope was a very enjoyable week figuring out how to design a good email. And today, we are going to look at a tool that can make this really, really easy. In the orientation, I promised you that those super fancy, formal looking emails that you'd seen would not take you more than 15-20 minutes. And today, you get to see how that can happen. This is our agenda. Mastering the use of a popular email service provider tool. I'm going to demonstrate MailChimp, but keep in mind there are several other email service providers as well. MailChimp is just the most popular one. If you can figure out how to use MailChimp, you should find the others pretty easy to use. MailChimp has free accounts and it also has a paid version. The paid version basically allows you to do a lot more. You can send out many more emails and you can also do a bunch of others. So, Datta, I'll leave that up to you to look up. I'm sure you can use Google to look them up. MailChimp is the one that I use, and MailChimp is the one that Digital Vidya recommends. So, I'm only going to be demonstrating MailChimp for you. Okay? So, listen up and pay attention because today we'll actually create actual emails. I'll also set up a database which will be based on all of you so that you can see what the email will look like at the recipient end as well. Is that fine? One more quick check. I'm using a different internet service provider today because we've had a few issues, connectivity issues in the past. I hope you can all hear me clearly. Is this better? Yeah, thank you. Great. Excellent. So I'm going to do this though. I need the entire window. I'm not going to use the presentation. I'll need the entire window, which means I'm going to minimize the chat screen. Periodically, I'll keep checking back in. So as usual, if you have any questions, make a note of it. You're welcome to put it in the chat window, but I might not respond to it immediately. Once the session is over, I'll scroll through again and we can have a discussion. Is that fine? Okay, excellent. So we'll start with a very quick recap so everything kind of makes sense. Does everyone remember the schematic? This is the journey that your email goes on. It leaves your mailbox, it gets sent on to a router, The router in turn says, okay, I have to send it to the kind of server that can process this, which is an SMTP server, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol server. SMTP server sends it on to a router, and that router sends it on to the mail server. The mail server says, hang on, wait. I need to put you through a series of checks before I can decide whether you're allowed to go in or not. So your email is going to pass through a firewall, which ensures that the email is not carrying any viruses. It'll go through a spam filter, which checks the text to look for patterns matching known spammers. It will go through a reputation check, which assesses your history as a sender of emails. And finally, there will be an authentication check to ensure that you are who you say you are and that the email has not been tampered with in transit. This is something that protects you as the sender, so it prevents other people from spoofing you, and it obviously protects the recipient as well. If and only if your email passes all these checks, is the email allowed to move on. It sends it on to the router. The router in turn sends it on to the recipient, whose mailbox has one more spam filter, and this one is controlled by the recipient. This spam filter is the one that decides whether your email should land in the spam folder or one of the other folders. Everybody's with me so far, right? No scary new news over here. We remember this. Excellent. Remember this? Now that you know how your email, all the paths your email takes, when it comes to designing the email, make sure you're using the pre-header text so that recipients who are viewing your email on mobile phones, you get a little more leeway to communicate your message, convey credibility, relevance, interest, all of that. Keep your preview pane in mind. These are all the additional things from session 4 last week's. The preview pane is the top left hand corner. Think about your layout, think about fonts. You will remember serif and sans serif fonts. Think about the size, think about the order, single column layout, multiple column layout. Think about secondary links, primary links, where to place them, color, placement, all of that. And of course, that very, very important part of emails, the star of an email, that's the call to action button. Think about your call to action button very carefully. Make sure it's not more than 2 to 3 words. It contains an action word or a verb, and it creates a sense of urgency. And when the recipient clicks on the call to action button, your click rate will go up. And where will it take them? It will take them to the landing page. So plan your landing pages also accordingly. All right. And that brings us to MailChimp. Are we ready to get started with MailChimp? Good evening, Kuresh. You've only missed the recap, but we are just getting started with MailChimp. Okay, so my suggestion, stay with me rather than trying this out on your own right now because you might miss out on things that I'm saying otherwise. Stay with me, the video is there, it's being recorded. So when you do this on your own, you can keep back referencing from the video. Okay? This is MailChimp. For those of you who are asking where to find it, www.mailchimp.com. Setting up an account is really simple. You can set up a free account and navigate the features. I'm going to demonstrate the free account today. I'm not going to take you through the process of setting up. I think that's something all of you can do on your own. It's really simple. You will need an email address to set up an account. They will send you a verification email. Look for that verification email. And when I say look for the email, please look in all your folders. Don't go only to your personals folder and assume it's not there. Go look in promotions, go look in social, even go look in spam. Because Gmail accounts, especially run by Google's algorithms are very, very stringent. And they know that a lot of marketers use MailChimp. So sometimes the Google server might just see a MailChimp email and decide it's spam and send it there. So look everywhere for the email. Don't assume MailChimp doesn't like you and didn't send you a verification email, okay? Look for that verification email. There'll be a link in it. You'll have to click it and then you'll be taken to your MailChimp account. I'm going to sign into my MailChimp account. Is this space good enough for everyone? Do you want me to slow down? Do you want me to go faster? Hi, everyone. Are we sleepy at the end of the day? Do we want a stretch break already? Laya is the only one who's awake. Okay, Dipanjan as well, and Prasad. Okay, thank you. Great. All right, so welcome to MailChimp. It says, good evening, Ramya. Before we jump into everything here, let me give you a quick primer of MailChimp's terms. Shall we do that? Top left corner, can you see a smiling monkey? That is the MailChimp logo. Anytime, anywhere you are within MailChimp, if you click on that monkey, it will bring you right back to this page, which is the dashboard. Okay? So, top left corner, monkey logo, click on it to get to dashboard. Next to the monkey logo, there are 5 menus. What do all these menus stand for? The first one says campaigns. So in MailChimp terminology, every emailer that you create is called a campaign. So campaigns are emailers. Clear? Next to that, there's something called templates. Templates are free email themes offered to you by MailChimp that you can use in case you don't feel like designing, if you're not very confident about your design skills, or if you don't have the time, you just want to pick up an available format and just plug in your brand and your message into it. MailChimp has a few free templates for you. Next to it, there's a word called lists. Lists are MailChimp's terminology for databases. Now keep in mind, I've also told you that a database is more than a list. MailChimp calls every database a list. Okay? This is only a label for it. Next to that, it says reports. Reports are the user engagement statistics. What are user engagement statistics? Who remembers the 4 metrics of measuring an email marketing campaign success? I've shown you 4 so far, 4 different formulae. What are these? CTR is not one of them, Datta. No, it's not CTR. There's bounce rate, very good. Okay, Laya, you'll have to expand that. There's bounce rate, open rate, click rate. Very good. What's the 4th? Delivery rate. Excellent. Thank you, Datta. Let's be very precise in our terminology. CTR is a terminology used in search marketing, not in email marketing. Okay? It's click rate. Click rate measures the number of clicks on an email. All right? So let's be very, very clear. We are in the business of communication, right? Which means being very precise about every term and every name. Okay, excellent. So 4 metrics, that's bounce rate, delivery rate, open rate, and click rate. All of these are the user engagement stats, which MailChimp gives us under reports. The 5th menu is called automation. I'm going to park that for now and tell you what automation is a little later. Okay? But before we jump into any of these, I want all of you to do this when you start MailChimp. Please keep in mind you will need to do this the first time you log into MailChimp, because if you don't, your MailChimp account will not work. In every batch, we have a few participants who forget this step and then their account doesn't work. They design emails and then the emails don't go out. It's a very, very basic, simple step. Please don't forget to do that. Okay? I'm going to show you what the step is. This is on the top right hand corner. Can you see my name? Ramya, DV Ramya. I'm going to click on it and you'll see there are a bunch of menus under that. The first thing you need to do as soon as you log in, go to your name in the top right hand corner, bring down that drop down menu and go to account. Under account, you are required to give MailChimp your details. This is for MailChimp's records. If MailChimp feels that the user has not given them enough information, they will assume you are a spammer and they will block your account. And let me tell you, MailChimp is very stringent about this. You can't hope to get away saying there are so many users, they will not notice me. This has happened to me in the past, and it's very difficult to figure out why they've blocked the account. They won't respond on that, so you absolutely need to take these steps. Under this, at the moment, it just shows you what kind of account I have. It's a free account, forever free plan. Under settings, settings is the second sub menu here. Go into contact information. Under contact information, you need to give MailChimp a few things. You need to give it your full name. I've entered all this already. An email address, your company name, a website address, a real world address, and a phone number. You need all these details on records, and also keep in mind they have to be authentic ones. MailChimp will not share this with anyone and it will not send this to your users, but they require that they have this on record, on their records. Okay? They're giving you a lot for free, so they require these details on their record. If you don't have a company, let's say maybe you're a freelancer or you don't have a website, you can use your LinkedIn profile or your Facebook profile link or even your Twitter profile. That works. You'll notice the email address I've given is a Gmail account, so that works as well. But they just need a valid email address and a valid website address. The website address I have given is my blog, and this is the address of the Digital Vidya office. This is the phone number of the Digital Vidya office. Okay? So please make sure to put all this in. You can edit it at any point of time. Unless you have this, MailChimp will not let your allow your emails to get sent out. So that's under profile account details, settings, contact information. Now there's a lot of information that you're going to be storing on MailChimp. All these campaigns that you're going to be running, that's a lot of data. So Maithili, can you do a Google search for that? A lot of these are really simple questions. You can just ask Google how to find your Facebook profile's URL. Simple thing, when you log into Facebook, visit your URL and look at what is the address there. That's all. That is your Facebook address. Okay? So just use Google where possible, because otherwise if I'm answering questions like these, you're going to miss out on the more complex features. Okay? All right. Now what happens to all that data that you have, all these emails that you send out? MailChimp gives you a backup of all of this. In addition, all your user engagement stats, it gives you a backup. It lets you take backups at any point of time. And you can find those backups under settings. Just going to manage my data. And under manage my data, you can export your data. You can download your most recent completed export from here, or you can ask it to build one more export. And guess what? I'm going to click on this and say build my data backup. This is going to take some time. But while this is happening, I can continue doing whatever I want to on MailChimp. It will also send me an email when it finishes. I don't have to keep waiting and refreshing the screen. So the minute my MailChimp account is backed up, I will receive an email and it will allow me to come in here and download my backup, all my emails and all my reports. Okay, so that's manage my data. If for some reason you want to shut your account, please don't abandon it, because a lot of this is very important information to your company or to you. Go into pause or delete account under settings. MailChimp will even give you a reminder saying take a backup before you delete your account. You can permanently delete this account, which means no one else will be able to access this, including MailChimp. I'm not going to delete my account right now, but if you need to do that, this is how you do it. Okay? There's a couple of other things. I'm also going to show you users. Keep in mind that email marketing is the most common use of MailChimp. And email marketing is a team activity. It's usually not done by just one person. You may work for a really big company, which means that you may want the vice president of the company to have access to your reports, which means how your campaigns are doing. You may want your Mumbai team to be able to do things and send it out to their users, your Delhi team to be able to do the same thing for their users. How are you going to make sure everyone has access to it? Do you share the passwords? You don't need to do that, because if you share the passwords, then you will not be able to tell who got in and did what. MailChimp allows you to create multiple users for the same account. You do that by going into settings and clicking on users. At the moment on this account, I have only one user, which is Ramya Pandyan. If I want to add any more users, I can say invite a user, and I can give each user different levels of access. I just put in their email address here. If I give them viewer access, they will only be able to view the reports. So maybe I'm an agency doing this for my client, in which case I can give them viewer access. So nobody on their side will be able to get in and fiddle around with the emails I'm creating, but they will be able to see how the campaigns are performing. If I give them viewer access, when they log in, their dashboard will only show them reports. if I give them author access. I might want to do this for my juniors. Let's say I have a team of content people or marketing people. I may want them all to create my emails for me, but I don't want any of them to make a mistake and send something out by mistake until it's approved by me. So I give them author access. That means they will be able to create campaigns, but they will not be able to send it out. The only thing they'll be able to do is send it to me to approve it, and then it gets sent out. That's author access. There's manager access, which means I'm sitting in Bombay right now. I want the Delhi team to also be able to send out campaigns on their own. I'll give their teams manager access. Maybe the head of the Delhi office, I can give them manager access. But they won't be able to add new users unless I do so. And finally, if I want to hand this over to someone else, or I want another administrator who can view my credit card details, who can turn a free account into a paid account, who can add more users and even delete the account if needed, I can create another administrator access as well. We are clear on this? So the different user access levels are viewer, author, manager, and admin. Think about the different roles that people play in your organization and what levels of access they should have to your data. Okay, so that's your user access. I'm not going to get into each of these menus individually. You can explore each of these by yourself. MailChimp has literally thousands of different features. I am only going to be able to tell you a few of those features in 1.5 hours. So I'm going to show you the most pertinent ones which you will need in order to run campaigns on your own. You can explore the others on your own. Is that fine? And MailChimp has a lot of learning resources for these as well. So MailChimp, for instance, allows you to integrate your account with Facebook and Twitter. You can go into integrations and explore those on your own. Everyone okay with that? Yeah? All right. Shall we go back to the dashboard? How do I do that? Click on the monkey, exactly, the grinning monkey. Excellent. Are we ready to create emails now? Awesome emails, great emails. Fantastic. Let's go and spend 2 hours designing emails. No, before that, what do I need in order to be able to be an email marketer, to run an email campaign? I need people to send emails to, right? I need a database. So, database is what we need to look at first. For that, we are going to go into the lists menu. Now, you'll notice it says lists in plural. And when I scroll down here, when you go into this, it'll be empty. But when I scroll down here, do you notice there's a whole bunch of things? DV, weekday, Feb March 17, DV Saturday, Jan 17. Each of these is a different database. So MailChimp actually allows me to create and manage multiple databases. Each of these is a database that I've created in each of my past classes. And I can take backups of these at any point of time. But before you do all that, you need at least one database to start with, right? So I'm going to ignore all this and I'm going to start a brand new database by saying create list in the top right corner. Immediately, MailChimp asks me, do you want to create a new list or do you just want to subdivide an existing list with groups? What am I going to say? I'm going to say I want to create a new list. And I'm going to click on this button, which allows me to create a new list. I need to give my list a name. So what shall I call this? I'm going to call this DV weekday March, April. Sorry. April, May 17. That's you guys, right? That's your batch. What is my default sender email address? So I can change this here. The email address that MailChimp has on record is digitalramya@gmail.com. I can put in a different from email address because my address on the record is just my official address as far as MailChimp is concerned. But I might want my readers, my recipients of my emails, to see a different email address. And I can put that in here. In this case, I'm going to use the same one, but you can use a different one if you want to. What's my default sender name? I'm going to call this Ramya Pandian. I'm just going to call it Ramya Pandian right now. So these are all the settings for this particular database. In case I don't give MailChimp any of these details, every email I send to this database is going to go out from digitalramya@gmail.com and from the sender name Ramya Pandian. MailChimp will give me an option to change these for individual emails if I want to. Remember, view this link online. Everyone remembers that? I showed you that feature. I talked about that feature last week. It's especially useful to mobile users. View this email online. When you're designing the MailChimp email, it creates a web page version of the same email. And MailChimp has just introduced a new feature where you can actually customize the address of that web page. But you can only do that if you have the paid account. Since I don't have the paid account, I'm going to ignore that step and say, remind people how they signed up to your list. So MailChimp is very big on permission marketing. Do we all remember what permission marketing is? Quickly type in what you remember about permission marketing while I tell MailChimp what I want to send people as a reminder. Okay, nobody has given me an answer to that. What is permission marketing? People, we need to revise. We need to go through the videos, right? That's why the videos are being recorded and the notes as well. I don't know what is explicit and implicit. Yes, absolutely, Sujoy. I really like Sujoy's definition. Taking permission to send emails and marketing related emails related to the TG with the consent of customers. Excellent. Thank you, Kuresh. Yes, absolutely, Devjit. Very good. MailChimp strongly believes in this. If they suspect, if they even have a hint that you are not practicing this, they will block your account immediately. Which means you really need to make sure that your recipients do not mark you as spam or report you as spam. Because if MailChimp receives too many complaints like this about you, it will just block your account. There's a reason they are the world's most popular email service provider. It's because they have fantastic features, but they're also really protective of their users and people who are receiving emails because of them. So you want to be careful with this, okay? So I've put in a message which reminds users of why they're receiving this email. You'll notice the company details are already populated. MailChimp is picking this up from my records, but if I want to, I can always change this. And I'm going to remove the address as well and just make it New Delhi. This is not changing the records. This is only changing what the users of this database are going to be able to see. Now, in terms of notifications, what notifications do I want to get from this list? I want to get subscribe notifications. That means the minute somebody joins this list, I will receive an email. I also want to know when someone unsubscribes from this list. And I'm going to say save. I'm also going to keep my email box open. So we'll keep toggling back and forth to see these notifications. Excellent. You have a brand new list now. Are we ready to go and create emails? No. Because this database is empty. I've created a list which is empty. There are no users in this database, right? If I send an email to this database, right? Yeah, exactly. A database is comprised of users. There are three ways to populate a database. Are we ready to learn the three ways? And they're pretty simple ways. Okay? So, method number one. Okay, so Devjit, remember what we've said about jargon? Remember in the orientation, we agreed no jargon terms? We want to keep this really simple, right? So, we are not going to, I've not said that term at all. No, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. I want to make sure everyone gets this. So, I'm keeping it really, really simple. So, method number one, how do I populate my database? Method number one, I go to the add contacts menu, which is the third menu, and I say add a subscriber. And here I can manually put in a subscriber. I need one volunteer to share their email address so that I can demonstrate how this is done. Thank you, Laya. Laya was waiting. She knew what was coming. So I've got Laya's email address. I only need one volunteer for now. Devjit, I'll give you a way by which you can also join this database. Okay, but for now, did I spell that right? So I've got Laya's email address. I've got her first name and last name. This person gave me permission to mail them. Yes. If this person is already on my list, update their profile. And then I say subscribe. So that's my method number 1, which is manually add a subscriber. You'll notice the list now says 1. Let me jump back to the lists menu. This database that I've created now shows over here and it says 1 subscriber. If I click on this, it now shows me Laya. Here's my database began. I have Laya's email address, her first name and her last name. Let's look at the second method to populate the database. I go into the add contacts menu and this time I say import contacts. What happens if you already have a database? Let's say you already have a database of 400 subscribers. Do you need to manually go and input their details 400 people's emails, 400 times you've got to put it in? No, MailChimp allows you to do a simple import of that. So you just go into import existing database. It'll ask you in what format. You choose CSV and go into next. Once you're there, you can upload the file by picking it up off your desktop. I don't have an existing database, but if I did, I could pick it up here and click on this and say next. The next step would be it would pick up all the data in that database and ask you which of these fields do you want to import. Which of these data points do you want to import? You select whichever ones you want or select all of them and say import. MailChimp imports usually take about 5 to 10 minutes. You can continue doing other things. It will send you an email when the import gets done. Okay. So method number 2 is import an existing database. Everybody with me so far? Are we getting a little lost? All right, great. I'm going to jump back to the monkey and then to lists and to my. Yes, CSV usually opens as an Excel sheet, Sujoy. So if you have an Excel sheet, then you choose the CSV option. CSV stands for comma separated values. So you can import it from there. All right. Okay. Now I'm going to show you the third and last method. The third method is you get users to update their own details. How many of you have subscribed to newsletters or, newsletters usually on websites and places like that? We've all done that, right? We've all subscribed to blogs, newsletters, things like that. You'll need to create a form for that. So method number 3 is create a user subscription form. MailChimp allows you to design such a form yourself. How do I do that? You go to this other menu called Sign Up Forms. There are lots of different form templates available. You can explore them yourselves. I'm going to demonstrate one of them, which is the general forms. Let's create a form, okay? A sign up form. Once again, you'll find there are lots of different kinds of forms MailChimp allows you to create. Confirmation email, final welcome email. I'm going to design a sign up form. Here's the sign up form already there, a default. It says DV weekday April May 17. Email address, first name, last name. So 3 questions are there here. Do I want to add some more to this? I should, right? The more I know about my users, the better are the emails that I can design, right? Remember relevance and permission marketing, all of those. So I want to add a few more questions. Let's do that. There are question boxes available on the right hand side. Let me add, let's say I want to add address. I just click on that. It'll push it into the form. Can you see? Address has gotten added here. And on the right hand side, it has gone into field settings, which means I can change what it's called. I can call it residential address. I can make it a required field or I can make it an optional field. Default country name, I'm going to say is India. And I'm going to save it. This is a slow process, so don't get impatient. MailChimp is a heavy software, it's doing a lot. But now my form has email address, first name, last name, and residential address. Let's add a few more fields. Shall we add something about users' interests? That's something that can really help a marketer, right? So I'm going to add a checkbox. So my checkbox is going to say, the label is going to say hobbies. Click all that, apply. Option number 1 is going to be reading. Option number 2 is going to be cooking. Option 3 is sports, outdoors. Option 4 is socializing, partying. And option 5 is going to be art. Now I'm going to save this. Now this becomes a checkbox where people will click all that apply. I'm going to go back to add field and let's see, shall I also make a drop down? So let me put a drop down and this label, I'm going to call it age band. I'm going to make this a required field. Now everyone notice the field tag. I want you to just keep this in mind. I will explain what field tag does in a little while. Don't touch the field tag, don't tamper with what it says. So option number 1 is going to be below 18. Option number 2 is going to be 18 to 30. Option 3 is going to be 30 to, or let me make this 25. 25 to 40. Add one more and I'm going to make this 40 and above. Save field. Is that adequate? Do I want to add any more? Let's say I want to add a random field which is not here. I'm just going to add text and I can make it whatever I want to. Let's say, how did you hear about us? I'm going to make it a required field. I hope you can all see with every field I'm adding, it's all getting added to the form. Can you see all of them? Now, how did you hear about us? I want to go and edit it. How do I do that? I click on this and go back to field settings. I'm going to make it an optional field, which means it's not absolutely required. So if someone wants to fill it in, they can. I want to change the order of the questions. I want this to come at the very bottom. How do I do that? I just click on it and I drag and drop it below. Okay, this is getting very late, taking very long. So let me try dragging and dropping this above. Right, okay. Sometimes this happens. You just have to refresh the form. Okay, don't worry if this happens. Sometimes this happens to MailChimp. It gets a little slow. It's not going. This is a drag and drop. You should be able to do this. Do you notice something? When I click on a particular question, it highlights it in yellow. It also gives me a plus and minus. What do these do? Let me click on the plus. It replicates the question, and then I can go and change the question. One more question like this if I want to. If I say, oops, I did that by mistake, I want to get rid of this question, I can say minus, type delete to confirm, delete it, and that question is gone. That's how I can remove questions from here. Now let's say I don't want to have to put residential address. I'm just going to put I'm going to change the how did you hear about us to city of residence and make it a required field, which means I don't need the residential address field, so I'm going to get rid of that and say delete. And then I can get rid of this untitled. Okay, so does the form look a lot better? We are going to add a few more things. Let's change the title of the form. When I hover over it, I can say edit, and it gives me this. I'm going to change the title. I'm going to call this Digital Vidya MailChimp Demonstration Sign Up. I'm going to center align both of these, change the font. I'm going to make this much bigger. And this, I'm going to put it in a different color and save and close. And voila. Okay, the font is looking different. This is Arial 20. I need to change this size as well. And I'm going to make this Arial 24. And I'm going to make this Arial 14. Okay, maybe 24 is a little too big, so let's make it 20. This is very small. Let's go back and just make this a little bigger. Is this better? Clear? I'm also going to put in a little message at the top of the form. Please complete this form and click and verify that you are human on the next page. You will then receive the emails created in this demonstration in your mailbox. You will not receive any further emails once this webinar is over. Let's change the font and make it a little more readable. And let's put it in MailChimp Blue. Clear? So do I have a form? I can do a little bit more with this. I can change the colors as well. And I can do that by going into Design It. Right now the background is this very boring gray. Let's change only the background color. Let's make it a pale blue. I can similarly change the other colors in here as well. You can go into each of these and tinker around with how you want them to look. That's your form designed over there. You can always go back to build it and change all of these as I want to. Does this look like a good sign up form? Are we satisfied with this? We're collecting a lot of good information about our subscribers, right? Okay, so how do you share this with subscribers now? There are three ways. If you have integrated your Facebook and your Twitter account in the settings, you can share this right away to your Facebook page, your company Facebook page, or your Twitter page. If you have an app, MailChimp has already created a QR code, and you can display this on your app, and people can then sign up using this. I'm going to keep it really simple. Here is the web page address. What happens when I click on it? And there, is that our form? It is, right? So I'm going to give you this. Please take 2 minutes to complete this form. Fill in all these details. Once you fill them in, say subscribe to the list. It will take you to a second page where you will have to click the verification box. So take a minute and please complete this. In the meantime, I'm going to quickly go and ensure everything is required field. For anyone who's confused, I'm going to also demonstrate filling this in. Okay, so all of you who have finished that, you need to confirm that you are human by clicking on I'm not a robot. Wait till the circle finishes revolving and becomes a tick mark and say subscribe to this list. Now, all of you who have finished this process, please go look for the email in your mailboxes. You'll notice I've already received one notification. Radhika has completed this process. How about the others? See, you'll notice I've also received an email that says, so you're all looking for an email that says something like, please confirm subscription. I'm going to go into it and say, please subscribe me to this list. Pratyush has also completed the process. Resend what, Bushra? If you scroll up, you'll see the link. Laya, did you also? Okay, so Laya, exactly. That's why I wanted you to go through the process as well. Can you see the manage your preferences link? Okay. Before you go there, stay. Don't do anything. I want to show all of you something. Come back, everybody. I'm going to go into lists now. I'm going to DV weekday April, May 17. And here, the database has auto-populated now. Has everyone who has finished the form, can you see your name on the list? Is there anyone who has completed the form but cannot see their name on the list? Maithili, you're right here. Sujoy, did you find the email? Nandkumar, Sujoy, have you all found the email? You have to find the email and click on verify. Now, Laya, you'll notice I only have 3 pieces of information about Laya. I have her email address, I have her first name and her last name. But I don't have these other things about her because the rest of you filled in a form. So, Laya, I'm going to ask you to click on manage my preferences where you will be given an option to insert all of this. Okay, great. Thank you. I've refreshed it again. Sujoy, there's your name. Kurish, did you receive the email? Please look for the email and click verify. Until you do that, your name will not appear here. That's MailChimp's way of ensuring that you're not getting spammed. You have to agree to receive the emails as well. Okay, I'm going to give you another 30 seconds, everyone who has completed the process, and then we do have to move on. All right, shall we go on? I'm going to refresh it one last time and you can all check if your names are there. Kurish, there you are. So everybody who's filled in the form, your names are there, right? Okay, only half the class did this. The other half doesn't want to see how this will look. You'll only get part of the demonstration then. That's fine. It's up to you, but you will not be able to see how it looks in your recipient's mailbox. So if you want to, it's not too late. You can still fill in the form right now. After I've sent out the email, you will not be able to see it. Okay? All right, I'm going to go ahead. So do we now know 3 ways to populate a database? Third way was get users to update their details. You can manually enter people's details. You can import an existing database, or you can. Bushra, did you find the email? Okay, Bushra, I'm going to request you to respond quickly because we are already at 8:50. I need to move on. Did you follow the steps I demonstrated? You verified? Okay, give it some time then it'll get added. Don't worry about that. Different servers, sometimes if you've completed it from your end, then it will show over here. I can't see it. You filled in the form and you got the email and you clicked on the email. That's 3 steps. Okay, all right. It should come in here. We'll keep a check on this before we hit send on the email. All right. Okay, I'm going to come out of this now. Are we now ready to create emails? Okay, so I'm going to go into campaigns. And here you can see all my past campaigns are there here. I can go back and look at any one of them at any point of time if I want to, just to see. I go into campaign overview. It shows me what the email looked like. I sent it out on 7th of February 2017. This was the subject line and it was sent to this database. But I don't want to look at old campaigns. I want to create a brand new one. I can also download my existing campaigns, take their backups at any point of time. I'm going to say create campaign and let me give this a name. This is DV Weekday April May 17. This is not the subject line. This is just what the campaign is called within MailChimp. Okay. Now there's something called campaign type, which means there are different kinds of emails MailChimp allows me to create. I'm going to start with the simplest of them all, which is the plain text. Plain text is an email that doesn't have any pictures in it. No pictures, no hyperlinks, a very, very simple email. Let's start small and simple. I'm going to say create. Now, a plain text email has 4 steps, and all 4 steps you can see at the bottom. Step 1 is highlighted, and step 1 is selecting who you're going to send it to. And here are all my databases. Which one do I want to send it to? I want to send it to DV Weekday April May 17. That's the database of this class. I'm going to send it to the entire list, and when I'm ready, I can move on to the second step, which is setup. Under setup, the campaign name is already picked up here. I'm going to give it a subject line, and I'm going to call this Welcome to MailChimp. My sender name right now says Ramya Pandian. It's picking up from the default of my database, the list default. I can change this to Digital Vidya Ramya. Or let's say Ramya from Digital Vidya. The from email address, again, I can change this if I want to, but I'm going to keep it the same. Now, tracking. What is MailChimp going to track? It cannot track opens because this feature is not available for plain text. If there's Google Analytics, it can track that. If I'm an e-commerce site, it can track that. If there are any links, it can track that. If there are links to my website, I don't have any of that, so I'm just going to leave it as it is. This is the simplest kind of campaign. And go on to step 3, which is where I get to create the campaign. So on the left here is the email. It says enter your content here. So I'm going to remove this and start typing in. Hi, thank you for subscribing to this demo database. You will receive the emails created in the course of this demonstration. Use them alongside the video of this demo to learn more about MailChimp's email creation. Is that email a good one? So this plain text is the kind of format you will want to pick up when you want to send a very quick email. You can do these even from your Gmail account, but if you're using a personal account like Gmail, if you're using a tool like Gmail, you can't manage multiple databases and you also don't have user engagement stats. MailChimp allows me to create even simple emails like this and track how the emails are faring. Now, do I want to see how this email will look in your mailboxes before I send it? MailChimp lets me do that. Top right corner, there's an option that says preview and test. I'm going to select preview mode. Okay, and that's what the email looks like. Now, this is a lot of unnecessary detail under the email. So I'm going to come out of it and delete. Do I need the list description? No, I don't. I need an unsubscribe option. I don't need to share the mailing address. I don't need to share the telephone number. I don't need to give you a forward option because you already have that in your mailboxes. But I will give you the update option. And I'm going to put the update option above. I'm also going to make this separator much longer. And I'm going to put this at the very bottom. Now let's go and look at the email. Okay, so that's a lot of extra here and I need to give it much more space. So let's get rid of some of these equal to signs. And now check how it looks. Okay, that's 2 extra equal to's. Is this better? No, I think I can find a way to make this even better. And that's by removing this, going straight down here and putting this within separators. I think this looks a lot more official, much better. Yes? All right. Maybe I'll give it a couple of more spaces. Last check. So is that fine? And now am I ready to send it? Okay, so I'm going to go to step 4, which is confirm. And MailChimp says, hang on, let me check whether you have everything right. You want to deliver it to this database, right? And it's got 15 recipients. Who are these 15? Let's see if Bushra's name shows up now. So Ramya Laya, Nand Kumar, Radhika, Sujoy, Mrinalini, Prasad, Kalyan, Maithili, Chetan, Devjit, Kuresh. Bushra, there your name is. And Dipanjan. Okay? Excellent. So 15 of you are going to get this email. Subject line is going to say welcome to MailChimp. If I want to edit it, I can click on this. It will take me back to the window where I can edit it. Let me put an emoji here and go back to confirm. And now it appears with the emoji. All replies will go to this. Tracking is this. And this is a plain text email. And now if we are ready to send, I'm going to say send. Send now. And hi-fi. Let's run back to the mailbox to see whether the email has come. And in the meantime, you'll notice I've gotten a notification of all of you who have subscribed to my list. You might need to refresh your mailbox before the email shows up. It's already come to me. Welcome to MailChimp. And here's what the email looks like. Come back when you're done. Come back in 10 seconds. MailChimp also gives me on this page, it also gives me the web page link version of it. Those of you who haven't signed up can also click on the ePearl link that I've shared and you'll see the emails as a web page. Is everyone back? Please come back. I want to show you the reports and then we are going to design a more complex email. Come back everyone. I'm going to go into reports now. And reports again gives me all the campaigns I've sent in the past. I want to look at this campaign which was called DV Weekday April May 17. It was sent to 15 recipients. I can click on this again to see who these 15 were in case I've forgotten. If I scroll down, remember plain text emails, open rates are not tracked. So there's no tracking of this. But successful deliveries, how do I know if something has bounced? I can go into activity and look at the bounce report. It says there were 0 soft bounces and 0 hard bounces, which means what is my delivery rate? 100%, exactly, right? So pretty good, right? Okay, so let's get back and do something a little more complex, shall we? By the way, my mailbox has given me a notification for everyone. Okay, Shivram Ventures has replied saying acknowledged. Okay, you don't need to do that because my reports already tell me that you've received it. But thank you for that anyway. Let's go back into campaigns. That's fine, Prasad. Thank you for that. Under campaigns, I'm going to say create a new campaign, and this one I'm going to call it DV Weekday April May 17 regular. Yes, Bushra, that's the Google algorithm which knows that it's coming from MailChimp server, which means it's likely to be a promotion. This email address has never mailed you before and it's coming from MailChimp, so it's very likely to be a promotion. That's why. Okay, so I've given my campaign a name and this time I'm going to select a regular campaign which allows me to put in images and links. I'm going to say create. A regular campaign has 5 steps while a plain text campaign only had 4 steps because a regular campaign is a lot more complicated. So step one is the same, and that is to select who I'm going to send it to. Who am I sending it to? DB Weekday, April, May 17. Now let's say I don't want to send it to the entire database. Let's say I want to segment and I want to send it to only some people in the database. Can I do that? The answer is I can. If I've already created segments under lists, I could select one of them. But since I haven't done that, I'm going to go into group or new segment and say, I only want to send this to contacts who match. And you can see a lot of different things are available here, including subscriber data as well as all the different fields that I had you update in the database. So let's say I only want to send this to people who are in the age bracket of 18 to 25. How many people? There are only 4 people in this. So these are the 4 people. If I select this, only the 4 of you will get this email. Let's say I want to send this to people who are 18 to 25 and in city of residence is New Delhi. There's nobody in Delhi who is in this age bracket. So let's say Mumbai. It has to match both conditions. Nobody in Bombay either. 2 recipients. So 2 people in Bombay who are in this age bracket. This is how I segment my database. You will notice that I can only segment it based on information that I already have. I can also segment it based on, let's say, hobbies. Hobbies is, let's say, I only want to send it to people who are interested in sports outdoors. Nine recipients have selected sports and outdoors as their hobbies. And let's say I only want to send it to people in Bangalore who have selected sports outdoors. 2 people in Bangalore who are interested in sports and outdoors. This is how I use MailChimp to segment my database and target my emails. Everyone clear on this? Yeah? Next week's session 7, that is, I'm going to be giving you a lot more learning about database and segmentation. But now you know how to do this within MailChimp. Clear? This particular email, I'm going to make sure all of you get it, so don't worry. I'm going back to entire list and going to the next step, which is setup. And under setup, here's the campaign name, the subject line. Okay, so remember the merge tag I showed you? You also remember in last week's session, I told you about personalization. Remember, I showed you 2 examples, one from Dropbox and one from HubSpot, where they had really personalized the emails. Now, I told you that doesn't mean you have to go into every single email and manually type in every person's name. Exactly. If you have information captured, every field that is captured has its own merge tag, and you can bung in those merge tags. Here's an example. You can personalize the to field, which is the email subject line, and here it gives you the merge tag for the first name. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to put this here and say F name, comma, the blue monkey misses you. What will this do? When you receive the email, you will see it with your name. So I'll receive the email as Ramya, comma, the blue monkey misses you. Laya will receive it as Laya, the blue monkey misses you, and so on and so forth. You can similarly use merge tags within your emails as well. I'm looking for the monkey emoji. Okay, the monkey emoji does not seem to be there. And here it is. Okay. Can all of you see my screen? Is my screen visible to all of you? Okay, so Bushra, if anyone has an issue, you need to call tech support. Remember that? Yeah? Okay. Are we good with this? This is a good subject line and this is a personalized subject line. Now let's go into trackings. Regular campaigns can track opens. This is already checked off. I'm also going to click on tracking. Sorry. I'm going to step 3, which is template. Now, what's templates? Because this is a regular campaign where I can throw in a lot of different things like images, buttons, links, and so on, MailChimp is asking me what layout I want to use. There are already some predefined layouts here. If I want to sell a product, if I want to make an announcement, tell a story, I can use each of these, or I can just pick a different layout as needed here. Let's see. I want to see how this looks. I can just click on this and it gives me a preview into what this looks like. Give it a few seconds. MailChimp is building the template for us. And there's my layout, an image, and then a text box, and then the social sharing icons. Does this look good? I can always change it afterwards. So can I select this? You can pick from a number of other layouts as well. Is everybody with me so far? Quick check. I'm looking at the chat window. Are we all here? Still awake? Not bored? All right, great. Now, before I go into this, I also want to show you MailChimp's custom templates. You can always select one of these and change these if you want to. That's a shortcut. You don't need to go into wonderful. I'm so happy, Devjit. Enthusiasm is always great. You can just pick one of these and you don't have to do this. But in case you would like to do it yourself, MailChimp even gives you without pictures which is the best way for any of these objectives, or you can design one from ground up, which is what I'm going to do. So you know how to do even from the most basic steps. So I'm going to select the one column full width. And this takes me into step 4, which is designing the email. On the left hand side, this is like a stencil, a template, which I can populate. On the right hand side are widgets. Widgets are like little gadgets that I can add into the email. I can add all of these different kinds of content boxes in the email. There's a simple text box, a box text, which is a text block with a box, a border around it, a section separator or a divider, image, group of images, and so on. Let's look at what's happening on the left hand side, which is the email right now. Let's look at preview and test. Right now, my email is empty. It has the standard format. Let's start right at the top. Each of these is a box. Can you see that? When I hover over it, it turns into a box that I can drag and drop. The 9 dots on the top left corner allow me to drag and drop and change the order if I want. I can take this back up here. I can edit it by clicking on the pen menu. When I click on that, the right hand side opens it up and allows me to edit it. I can come out of that. I can add one more exactly like this. So I have 2 like this and then I can drag and drop this, or I say, oops, I didn't need to add that. So I can delete this. So far so good. Okay, so let's start populating this. Remember pre-header text? So I'm going to have to make sure the top left corner of my email is making use of that window pane, the preview pane, but there's also pre-header text. So I'm going to go into this. Column 1 and column 2, because column 1 has this which says use this area to offer a short preview. Column 2 has the view this email in your browser. I'm not going to touch this because this is the web version that MailChimp has already created and is creating as I build this email. I'm going to remove this and says the MailChimp monkey says hi. Let me make this a bright blue in color. Can you see that little bit of text at the top left? Let's do something even more exciting. Let's add an image here. I do that by going into edit, and on the side it asks me to browse, upload an image. Give it time. Image uploads and edits take a while. Okay, so up here on the top right hand corner is an upload button. If I open it, I can go into my pictures and pick up any of my pictures from anywhere on my computer. Or if I want to, if I've already used a picture in the past campaigns and I like one of those, I can just click on one of them and reinsert them. So here's a picture. Can I edit this picture? The answer is yes. I go into edit and there are all these different options. I can change the color. I can make it sharper. I can put stickers on it. I can also crop the image. Oops, the sticker is gone. Let's put the sticker again. I can also crop the image if I want to, or make it smaller, resize or crop. And then I say save. And there's my picture with the sunglasses there. Let's get into the text box. It's time to design your email is the header, the headline. I can change this and say, okay, someone unmuted themselves. Please don't do that. That was very loud. This headline looks a little too long and unwieldy, right? So let me put in a box text here, and I can do that by just dragging and dropping like this. And I'm going to call this the MailChimp Voyage. I'm going to center align this headline, make it a much bigger size, make it a different font, change the color, and I'm going to change the background color as well. Let's go back to this. This needs a darker color. which means I can go in here to this box and remove this headline. Okay, this is changed. Right, I can just do this. Okay. I need to go in here and okay. So when I remove that headline, clearly it does this. So I'm just going to do this. Just delete this and let this stay here. Okay. Maybe I'll make this a different color, the font. Let's add a couple of more images, shall we? Let's add an image group this time. So 2 images, I'm going to browse. Let me put the MailChimp monkey on the left. And let's pick, shall we pick this one? This one's good. This one on the right. Okay, they're 2 different shapes and sizes. So I'm going to edit this, resize it. Let's make this 300. This is not ideal. You can make out it's a low res picture, but this is for demonstration purposes only. It's still not quite the right size. Let's make it 325. The proportions of this image differ from the one next to it. Let's fix it. Okay, so we don't do that by cropping. Instead, I'm going to go into this and resize this to 285. Still not okay. Resize this to 250. Okay, I'm just going to bring this down to 200. That should make it all right. Okay, let's just assume this is fine. I can also drag and drop this. What does that do? It interchanges the two. And finally, okay, let's add a section separator here. Okay, a divider. I can change the style of the divider, change the color as I want to. I'm just going to keep this the way it is. There's a little divider here. Let's look at these social icons. Right now there's Twitter, Facebook, and website. I can add what I want to it. Twitter.com/ I'm going to give it mine so that you can link to me if you want to later. Instead of Facebook, I'm going to add a website. Or let's say Instagram, which is again this. And the website can be www.digitalvidya.com. I can add even more if I want to by adding another service, selecting whichever one I want to, and putting in the correct landing page over here. Let's say I want to get rid of this. I hope all of you can tell what is this I'm doing. This is the landing page. For when you click on these icons, it will take you to these landing pages. Finally, under that, there is all these mandatories. I'm going to remove this. I'm going to remove our mailing address. I need the unsubscribe option and I'm going to leave the rewards. So is this a complete email? Let's go into preview and test. Is this email good? I can also see how it looks on a mobile phone. So what kind of a design is this, by the way? This is a responsive design. Can you see how the layout has changed? Okay, is this email missing anything? It's missing something super important for a marketing email, isn't it? Exactly, it's missing a button. The call to action, exactly. And here's the button. I am going to put this in here. Instead of buy now, I'm going to call it mail now. And the web address, it's going to, the link landing page it's going to take you to is www.mailchimp.com. I can change the way this looks by going into settings, left align it, center align it. Instead of fit to text, I can make it one large full width one. Also remember what I said about very, very long emails. What should we do? We should repeat the call to action, right? So I'm going to repeat it here, except this one I'm going to make it a smaller button. And I'm going to drag and drop this button up. I'm going to remove this background because it looks like a call to action button. Otherwise, remove this. Is this better? Let's put this here. Maybe let's make this call to action button also a large one. And let's make this the small one. Let's quickly look at the email. I can change the color, Devjit. The options are there. I'll have to go into settings, style, and figure out these options then accordingly. Okay? All right, am I ready to send? If I know the merge tags of the other things like hobbies, and I can do that, I can go and check those by going into the lists menu. I can then further personalize these emails. Clear? I've already shown you how to personalize the email using the first name. Now, a couple of more features. If I want to send this to my boss and say, please confirm that this email is okay before I send it out, I can send a test email of this. So I've sent a test email to my own email address. This is before it goes to the database. Give it a minute. The email will come in. There, it's come in. Okay, test first name, the blue monkey misses you. That's what the subject line is going to look like. This is the message on top. So this is what the email looks like, and I call my junior and say, done, this is fine, perfectly fine. I can also test to see whether all the links work. So I click on this, mail now, and this should go to mailchimp.com, which it does, which is great. So the links all work. And once I get an approval from my boss, I can also use these other features. There's one called link checker where it'll check that every single link you have in the email works. I'm going to leave it up to all of you to explore those additional features. One last feature called social cards. Remember the web version of this email? If it gets shared on the social media platforms, how does the excerpt look? So I'm going to enable social cards. It's going to ask me which image do you want it to carry. So I'll say carry this image, and the title should be MailChimp account reminder, setup reminder. A reminder from the Digital Vidya demonstration team to set up your MailChimp account and proceed with the assignment. Save and close. And now when I go into confirm, MailChimp will deliver it to this. This is the subject line. All replies will go here. I'm going to track all of this. This is what the campaign's web version address is going to be. And this is how it will look when it gets shared on Facebook or LinkedIn. So does the email look complete? Am I ready to send it? Yes or no? Do all of you want to receive the email or not? Now, one last thing before I send it out. What if I want this to come to you at 7 in the morning so that it's right at the top? I don't have to get up at 7 in the morning. I can just schedule it from here. I'm not going to do that right now because I want to see how it looks in all your mailboxes. But when you want to do that, you can use the schedule button here. I'm saying send now. And now, having sent this, I want all of you to do this. I want you all to go into your emails and click on any two links. Don't tell me which ones, but any two links that are there in the email. Not one, but two. And come back and tell me when you're done. Because I have one last thing to show you about MailChimp. Very, very important thing to show you about MailChimp. Are we done? Have we all received the email? Try refreshing your screen. Okay, I'm going to run into reports and see whether there were any bounces. You might have to look at your spam folders, by the way. Please check all your folders. Okay, Bushra's received it. Excellent. So let me go into reports. Now, there's a lot of really interesting things available in the reports of a regular campaign, which I want to show you, which is why I've asked all of you to click on at least two links. First of all, I'm going to go into the bounce report. Zero bounces. No hard bounces, no soft bounces. That means all of you have received it. You just need to find it. Has everyone received the email? Spam folder में भी देखो. Okay, I'm going to refresh my report once. I'd like all of you to come back, please, so I can show you further details of a plain text regular campaign report. I've refreshed it. We know that it's 100% delivery. Now, look at this. The open rate has already been calculated here, and the click rate has also been calculated. In addition to that, MailChimp is also telling me what the average for this industry is. If you go into your profile settings, when you log in, MailChimp will also ask you to fill in details about the industry that you're in. I have filled in social networks and online communities, and it tells me that the average click rate, open rate for this industry is 18.3%. I can benchmark my open rate against it. Similarly, it gives me an average click rate for my industry as well. And I can change this at any point of time by going into my profile. So Sujoy, you might have to keep refreshing, and also please check all your folders. Okay. There's been no bounces, so it's definitely on its way. Now the open rate has gone up to 80%. Let's look at what else is possible. So I know that there's 100% delivery, 15 emails were successfully delivered. I also know that they were opened 18 times. Let me click on this 18. Yes, absolutely. But Devjit, in this case, I have made all of you go and open it. You can't really force your customers to do that, right? I wanted to demonstrate that. Now I know that you've opened it, so look at this. When I go into the opens, it tells me that Nandkumar, Devjit, Kalyan, Kuresh, and Mrinalini and Laya have opened it twice. All the others have opened it once. It even tells me what their hobbies are and all of it from my database. I can go back here. This is the opened report, which I can export as a CSV and share if I want to. Let me go back to the overview. So that's my open report. Let's look at the click report. The click report is even more interesting. I have 91.7% click report. Click performance. So I told you to click on at least 2 links. Majority of the clicks are on MailChimp.com and the second highest are on digitalvidya.com. So 12 clicks on MailChimp.com, 4 clicks on digitalvidya.com. If I go into this, I can see who are the people, who are those 12 people. Either 12 people, it could be fewer people clicking multiple times also. But now I know Laya, Nankumar, Mrinalini, Prasad twice, Kalyan, Maithili, Chetan, Devjit, Kuresh twice, and Bushra all clicked on the MailChimp.com link. One person clicked on the Twitter link. There was one click on it, and that was from Mrinalini. Now remember, I put in 2 call to action buttons. So which one of them got, both of them lead to MailChimp.com. So which one of them got higher clicks? I can go to click maps, 2 different buttons, both leading to the same landing page. Click map shows me my email and a breakdown of where the clicks came from. 44% of all the clicks that came on this link came on this button. And if I click on that 44%, that's all these people, all of you clicked on the upper button. 22% clicked on the lower button, which is these people. That's Prasad, Kalyan, Chetan, and Kuresh clicked on the lower call to action button. And all these other people, that's Laya, Nandkumar, Mrinalini, Prasad, Maithili, Devjit, Kuresh, and Bushra, clicked on the upper button. So that's under click map. Let's go back to overview. Now, all of you have gone and opened it right now because I asked you to, but realistically, your customers will open the email over several points of time. MailChimp will plot this graph as people start opening. So the click rate, open rate will hopefully increase as time goes along. At a glance, my overview even shows me what are the top links and who are the subscribers who were most active. These are the servers from which you've come. So don't worry if you've never been to the US, but it's showing you here. These are the servers it's tracking. In addition to all this, I'm going to quickly run back to lists. You will notice that when I scroll to the right, there's something called contact rating. It even shows me how the person was added. So Laya was added by the administrator while all the others clicked on the sign up form and fill this in. What does this 2-star rating mean? Does this mean that I think you're all worth only 2 stars? No. This is a star rating given by MailChimp based on how responsive each member in this database is. Right now, there is only 1 email being sent. So all of you are on an average of 2 stars out of 5. If I were to use this to keep sending all of you emails, over time it would populate and change the star rating depending on how frequently you opened my emails and clicked on the calls to action buttons. So MailChimp allows me to assess this over time in terms of who are my most responsive audience members as well in the database. Pretty good, right, for a free service? So let's run back and take stock of what we've seen so far. Are we ready for feedback? We're already past time, but I hope this has been an interesting session. Please don't leave yet. I really need you to give feedback. I'm hoping that you've liked this session. So even if you didn't, you can definitely mention that in the feedback, and I'll take that into account and make sure the remaining three sessions are even better. So here's your feedback link. Take a minute, finish feedback, and come back and tell me. I have one last checklist to give you, and then we'll be done for today. Thank you, Kuresh Bushra Laya. We'll just wait until the others get done. Okay, is that everyone? Should I continue? Thank you. Thank you for feedback. I've sent a couple of you private messages. Do check. I'm going to go ahead. So, quickly, let's take stock. We've looked at what you do when you open the account and set it up, completing the user profile, building lists, three ways to build lists, right? Setting up campaigns, designing the emails, and tracking reports. Here's an additional article for all of you to read. And here's a quick checklist of things that you want to keep in mind before you hit send. Think of all the ways you can personalize. MailChimp is a fabulous tool. Think of how you can actually push your limits and use it to make it even more personal. Make sure you check every name that's there, especially in your database. Check your links, and this is not complicated because MailChimp itself gives you that feature. Ensure that your unsubscribe button is working. So send yourself the email as a test, like I did, and check each of the links works, especially the unsubscribe button. Ensure that your database is fully opted in, and look at how the email looks on mobile as well as on a desktop. Here's a list of things that you can do before our next session on Thursday. Please don't forget to watch the recording, set up your MailChimp account, read the notes. You will also want to start visiting the discussion forums if you haven't already, because they are an excellent source of learning in addition to the webinars. I hope your assignment will be a lot easier now that you've gone through this. Continue looking at your promotions folder and your spam folder, and of course, come to the next webinar in a good mood. That brings us to the end of today's webinar.